Hello. Let's jump in because, Monday's rough. Monday's a rough day. We're going to have to figure out a way to smooth it. We're on day 35, and we're going to be reading Leviticus 16 through 18 and Psalms 35. Okay. Now, yesterday, it was really just laws on how to handle quarantining, or how to handle mold and moldy clothing, moldy homes, how to welcome someone back into the fold once they've been cured of a skin disease. It was a little bit of that. Today, there's a devotional. The video, actually, when I clicked on this video, I thought I accidentally got the day wrong because the title was the same. It's like the law. And yesterday's video was about the laws of in scripture. And today's video was about the same thing. So I was like, oh, did I mess up or something? But when I actually sat down and watched the video and heard it through, I got to see the different takes, and I got to understand why they would put those two things back to back. So this is a new take on how to observe laws when you're reading through them, how to understand what are you looking for. There are a lot of laws that were given to the ancient Israelite people that they highlight in the video. They're like, yeah, you couldn't even really follow them this day and age if you tried. You would actually drive yourself crazy trying to... I mean, they didn't say that, but I feel like you would drive yourself crazy trying to follow all 613 of those laws. They're given to the Israelite people at specific times, during specific, key events. And it's God's way of meeting them where they are in that time, in that season, in that time of their ancients. The livelihood was different. The lifestyle was different. The materials they had access to was different. The information, the connection to people, all of that was on a different scale. But all of the laws that were given, when they were given, were to meet them exactly where they were. But it breaks it down and says some of the laws are steeped in God's wisdom. Some of the laws are about sacrifice and how people can, through these sacrifice, reach up to heaven and know that they're accepted by God. Some of the laws were just about being righteous and doing well by the people around you. And then some of the laws were about sacred time, which is just a lot of the reoccurring sevens and 7 days, 7 years, all of the reoccurring sevens, and why that time period, why that window is so sacred. Even the circumcision thing, if I'm pulling back, you on the 8th day you have to circumcise. So it's 7 days of this newborn baby having their foreskin, and then on the 8th day, that's when you go and you remove that as a sign of the covenant. So, it's an interesting take. Go watch it. It's linked in the description. And then as far as what they entails is have you ever wondered why there are so many ancient biblical laws in the first books of the Bible? What are modern readers supposed to do with them, and why are there so many and why are some of them so odd? In this video, we explore why the laws were given to ancient Israel and how they fit into the overall storyline of the Bible. So, like, for me, I know the past couple of days I've been reading through these, and I'm like, okay, well, this is about how to handle skin disease and how to handle going through these examinations and things like that. But I know I'm not going to a priest to examine my, like, a rash, if a rash for the occur on my skin right now. I'm going to the doc, and the doc's gonna give me, like, some insight on what to do and how to treat that. But the medical technology of this day and age and that day and age are different. You know, there are going to be a lot of laws that kind of we run into where, like, what am I supposed to do with this? But then this video did a really good job of reminding me that the Bible is not about here's what you do and here's what you don't do, and then that's that. What? It's not black and white like that. It's not clear cut like that. They leave room purposefully to have it be up for mental interpretation. Like, you really have to just try to experience the situation, to read the situation, it's for you to sit there and really think about it. Really, really think about it. Like, if they just gave you, oh yeah, this was this and this was that, you wouldn't be sitting there thinking about it. You would just be like, oh, they gave me the answers. And you would be this blob just going through life according to exactly what this text was saying, like, do exactly this. Then you would just be robotic. You would almost be cutting out your free will if the Bible was just a manual for how to be right by God. But he wants us to have that. He wants us to have the free will, which is why the information is given to us in a way that makes us think about it. It makes us, like, really try to understand, wait, what? Why? Because the goal, I think, is to see the wisdom. The goal, I think, is to see the character of God so that you can trust it. See how the character of God and the wisdom of God surpasses that of any human you will interact with so that you can trust it. See those things so that you can invest your faith into it. I feel like that's what the Bible is really just trying to get us to do. And I'll be like, hey, do it like this and only like this, and you will be right. Leviticus 16 goes into the Day of Atonement. The Lord spoke to Moses after the death of Aaron's two sons, who died after they entered the Lord's presence and burned the wrong kind of fire before him. The Lord said to Moses, warn your brother Aaron not to enter the most holy place behind the inner curtain whenever he chooses. If he does, he will die. For the ark's cover, the place of atonement, is there, and I myself am present in the cloud above the atonement cover. When Aaron enters the sanctuary area, he must follow these instructions fully. He must bring a young bull for a sin offering and a ram for a burnt offering. He must put on his linen tunic and the linen undergarments worn next to his body. He must tie the linen sash around his waist and put the linen turban on his head. These are sacred garments, so he must bathe himself in water before he puts them on. Aaron must take from the community of Israel 2 mule goats for a sin offering and a ram for a burnt offering. Aaron will present his own bull as a sin offering to purify himself and his family, making them right with the Lord. Then he must take the 2 male goats and present them to the Lord at the entrance of the tabernacle. He is to cast He is to cast sacred lots to determine whether the goat will be reserved as an offering to the Lord, and which will carry the sins of the people to the wilderness of Azazel. Aaron will then present as a sin offering the goat chosen by the lot for the Lord. The other goat, the scapegoat, chosen by the lot to be sent away, will be kept alive, standing before the Lord. When it is sent away to Azazel, in the wilderness, the people will be purified and made right with the Lord. Aaron will present his own bulls as a sin offering to purify himself and his family, making them right with the Lord. After he has slaughtered the bull as a sin offering, he will fill an incense burner with burning coals from the altar that stands before the Lord. Then he will take 2 handfuls of fragrant powdered incense and will carry the burner and the incense behind the inner curtain. There, in the Lord's presence, he will put the incense on the burning coals so that a cloud of incense will raise over the ark's cover, the place of atonement that rests on the ark of the covenant. If he follows these instructions, he will not die. Then he must take some of the blood of the bull, dip his finger in it, and sprinkle it on the east side of the atonement cover. He must sprinkle blood 7 times with his finger in front of the atonement cover. Then Aaron must slaughter the first goat as a sin offering for the people and carry its blood behind the inner curtain. There, he will sprinkle the goat's blood over the atonement cover in front of it, just as he did with the bull's blood. Through this process, he will purify the most holy place, and he will do the same for the entire tabernacle because of the defiling sin and rebellion of the Israelites. Wait, no, hold on. No one else is allowed inside the tabernacle. Okay, hold on, wait. Through this process, he will purify the most holy place, and he will do the same for the entire tabernacle. Because of the defiling sin and rebellion of the Israelites, no one else is allowed inside the tabernacle when Aaron enters it for the purification ceremony in the most holy place. No one may enter until he comes out again after purifying himself, his family, and all the congregation of Israel, making them right with the Lord. Then Aaron will come out to purify the altar that stands before the Lord. He will do this by taking some of the blood from the bull and the goat and putting it on each of the horns of the altar. Then he must sprinkle the blood with his fingers 7 times over the altar. In this way, he will cleanse it from Israel's defilements and make it holy. When Aaron has finished purifying the most holy place and the tabernacle and the altar, he must present the live goat. He will lay both of his hands on the goat's head and confess over it all the wickedness, rebellion, and sins of the people of Israel. In this way, he will transfer the people's sins to the head of the goat. Then a man specially chosen for the task will drive the goat into the wilderness. As the goat goes into the wilderness, it will carry all of the people's sins upon itself into a desolate land. When Aaron goes back into the tabernacle, he must take off the linen garments he was wearing when he entered the most holy place, and he must leave the garments there. Then he must bathe himself with water in a sacred place, put on his regular garments, and go out to sacrifice a burnt offering for himself and a burnt offering for the people. Through this process, he will purify himself and the people, making them right with the Lord. He must then burn all the fat of the sin offering on the altar. The man chosen to drive out the scapegoat into the wilderness of Azazel must wash his clothes and bathe himself in water, then he may return to the camp. The bull and the goat presented as a sin offering, whose blood Aaron takes into the Most High place for the purification ceremony, will be carried outside the camp. The animal's hides, internal organs, and dung are all to be burned. The man who burns them must wash his clothes and bathe himself in water before returning to the camp. On the 10th day of the appointed month. On the 10th day of the appointed month in early autumn, you must deny yourselves. Neither native-born Israels nor foreigners living among you may do any kind of work. This is a permanent law for you. On that day, offerings of purification will be made for you, and you will be purified in the Lord's presence from all your sins. It will be a Sabbath day of complete rest for you, and you must deny yourselves. This is a permanent law for you. In future generations, the purification ceremony will be performed by the priest who has been anointed and ordained to serve as high priest in place of his ancestor Aaron. He will put on the holy linen garments and purify the most holy place, the tabernacle, the altar, the priest, and the entire congregation. This is a permanent law for you, to purify the people of Israel from their sins, making them right with the Lord once each year. Moses followed all these instructions exactly as the Lord commanded him. I think there was a point before in the story where Moses is getting the rundown on what to do on Mount Sinai, right? And he's like, oh, do this is how you'll handle the tabernacle, this is the purification, this is that. And the first time they had to purify it, they were getting the instructions to purify the Ark of the Covenant. If I remember correctly, all of Israel was allowed to watch this purification of the most holy place happen. All of this was part of the ceremony. It wasn't done behind the curtain. They were allowed to watch. Then it says here that this is because of their defilement now they can't watch, which is okay because I'm remember when Moses goes up to Mount Sinai the first time, all of Israel at that point had consecrated themselves. They were made holy. They were holy for a brief second until they worshiped the goat, the calf. So I think that's why they would have been allowed to watch. If they remained consecrated, if they remained free of the sin of worshiping another God, or breaking those first two commandments, essentially, if they had remained free of making the idol, they would have been able to watch the ceremony of the tabernacle being created holy, being made holy through this ceremony. But now, since they aren't a people that are holy, and they aren't a people that are as consecrated, they haven't, first they were separated. They went through a whole ceremony to be separated and made holy and elevated as God's people. But since they went against God's commands, essentially removed. It's like washing up and then going to roll around in mud. And then expecting your parents are just gonna let you back into the house like that. You know what I mean? So, like, no. You can't come in like that. You're gonna have to figure something out. Like, you can't track all the mothers. You gotta go get the hose. You gotta go hose yourself off. And then you can come into the house. But even then, you're gonna do some kind of cleaning up before you enter the home. Yeah, I think that recap is really gonna be important, because especially it's nice, like, going forward, there are new parts that are sticking out to me, and I'm like, oh, am I remembering that correctly? So, like, it might be a little good to do the forward and then the back, and then the forward and then the back, so that we can see how all of these different components stick together. It was definitely easier in Genesis. I'm not gonna lie, because Genesis was like right there, right? There wasn't much at the start to go back and try to remember. But now we're in that third book, and it's already getting like there's a lot of details. There's a lot of moments that recalling them isn't as sharp, but the essence of them is there. So I want to go back and look. I'm going to go back and try to, like, piece that together as, like, oh, is that what happened? Is that really how that played out? The other thing, too, is water is seeming really powerful to me in all of this. Every time they're like, oh, you must bathe yourself in water. Or, oh, you must do da-da-da in water. They never really say, like, oh, soap and water. Maybe they didn't have soap back then. I don't remember. I remember if soap was around before Christ. I'm not saying that to be sarcastic, but was soap around? When was soap invented? But yeah, it's just making it the element of the elements are coming in just really strong. It's like the water to bathe and cleanse yourself, pour the blood in the water. Dip yourself in the water, be reborn through the water, and then there's the fire. All of that is like being purified, offering your sin offering. The essence of God when he struck was in fire flame on the bush. He comes down in a pillar of fire, and fire is also very light. It lights your way, and it purifies and cleanses. Yeah, that's no good. Burn it, burn it away. It's almost like it lights your way. It shines, but it's also a removal method. Leviticus 17. Prohibitations against eating blood. Then the Lord said to Moses, give the following instructions to Aaron and his sons and all the people of Israel. This is what the Lord has commanded. I have to respond to this. Sorry. If any native Israelite sacrifices a bull or a lamb or a goat anywhere inside or outside the camp, instead of bringing it to the entrance of the tabernacle to present it as an offering to the Lord, that person will be as guilty as a murderer. Hebrew, he will be guilty of blood. That's what the Hebrew translation means. So you can't go out there just killing lambs and goats any which way, anywhere you feel like it, and calling it a sacrifice. You have to bring it in front of the Lord so that it can be a sacrifice. Okay. Such a person has shed blood and will be cut off from the community. The purpose of this rule is to stop the Israelites from sacrificing animals in the open fields. It will ensure that they bring their sacrifices to the priest at the entrance of the tabernacle, so he can present them to the Lord as peace offerings. Then the priest will be able to splatter the blood against the Lord's altar at the entrance of the tabernacle, and he will burn the fat as a pleasing aroma to the Lord. The people must no longer be unfaithful to the Lord by offering sacrifices to the goat idols or goat demons is another translation. Does that mean idols and demons are like the same? Like, is one interpretation of idol demon? Then that mean they would be equal? Then how far does the idol thing go? Like, what is considered an idol? Okay. Yeah, okay. We're gonna put a pin in that. What is considered an idol? That is my question. We'll figure it out. Right, this is to keep them from just willy-nilly sacrificing all of these animals as they please. This is a permanent law for them to be observed from generation to generation. So, the people must no longer be unfaithful to the Lord by offering sacrifices to the goat idols or the goat demons. This is a permanent law for them to be observed from generation to generation. Give them this command as well. If any native Israelite or foreigner living among you offers a burnt offering or a sacrifice, but does not bring it to the entrance of the tabernacle to offer it to the Lord, that person will be cut off from the community. Well, what was the first sacrifice? Neither sacrifices a bull or a lamb anywhere. Okay, so then this one is about just a burnt offering. And if any native Israelite, this is Leviticus 17:10, if any native Israelite or foreigner living among you eats or drinks blood in any form, I will turn against that person and cut him off from the community for your people. No, I will cut him off of the community of your people. For the life of the body is in its blood. I will give you the blood on the altar to purify you. I have given you the blood on the altar to purify you, making you right with the Lord. It is the blood given in exchange for a life that makes purification possible. It is the blood given in exchange for a life that makes purification possible. This is why I have said to the people of Israel, you must never eat or drink blood, neither you nor the foreigners living among you. And if any native Israelite or foreigner living among you goes hunting and kills an animal or a bird that is approved for eating, he must drain its blood and cover it with earth. So even the spot where the blood has been spilled or drained has to return to the earth properly by being covered. I like that there are a lot of moments here where he's saying, this is why I'm saying you should have done this. This was the wisdom behind that. This is this is God's reasoning. That is why I have said to the people of Israel, you must never eat or drink blood. I said to the people of Israel, you must never eat or drink blood, because it's the blood given in exchange for a life that makes purification possible. So if you take blood and you ingest the blood, you're not giving that blood as an exchange for a life. You're not purifying yourself. You're actually doing the opposite, right? Because you're taking something that can be treated as a purification method for you, and you're like dishonoring it by eating it, by taking it into your body, which is not purified. I'm harping on this because, like, I don't know how deep the blood thing goes, you know? Like, it says don't eat blood of any form. Don't ingest into your body of any form. But, like, it just makes me question. Is it the sacrifice of, like, when you're a donor, blood donor, right? And you give or you receive, would that be granted as a sacrifice? Okay, so I'm wondering, like, if you there are many ways where we eat blood. Like, you know, there are blood sausages, there is blood used as a finishing method for soups. I don't know how prominent that is anymore, but, like, that is definitely a culinary technique. There is, sometimes we're just eating bloody meat, you know, like, not bloody, but, I mean, yeah, bloody. A medium rare steak, you know, like, or a rare steak at that, or a blue rare. That's a blue black. When you like a blue black steak. Yeah, you pretty much just char the outside and don't do anything with the inside. Also, is eating meat raw considered eating the blood? There's so many questions. Not that any of this applies. Not that I'm like trying to take all of this and like, I can't eat that because of the blood. But like, I'm curious. This isn't one of those wisdoms where it's like, oh, this is safety, this is your sanitation. But he definitely says, like, Because there's been that debate, like, oh, he tells us not to eat of the blood because of sanitary reasons. You get sick for eating anything like bloody, uncooked product. But he specifically says, I don't know, like, no, it's because blood is used as an exchange to purify you. So in this way, don't just eat it. So this is why we're always made right when we just go before the Lord and be like, yo, we messed up, or like da-da-da. We're always made right again because of the blood that's just eternally being poured over us, for us, by Jesus. That sacrifice that rings, that like eternal sacrifice that rings throughout humanity's lifespan. Yeah. I just want, like, again, I'm just glad I don't have to make these sacrifices myself, Like, I'm glad I don't have to take the lamb up to the altar. Sometimes it's in the mountain. Who knows? Who knows where the altar is? I don't have to take the lamb up to the altar. I don't have to lay my hand on it. I don't have to get the knife to slaughter it. I don't have to separate the hide and the fat and the kidneys and the long lobe of the liver, and I don't have to do any of that. I don't have to carry the dung off somewhere. I don't have to, make sure it's all burnt as a pleasing aroma to the Lord. Like, I don't have to do any of that. Because it was done. It is done. And that alone is like, how much does someone have to love you to go and do all the work for you? All you have to do is sit there and live in it right. Okay. Let's go back. So, never eat or drink blood. And like my first initial question, does it count if it's cooked? Like if the blood is cooked, does it count? When you eat bone marrow, does that count? How deep are we talking here? But you know what, let's just, like I said, not everything can apply, and there are a lot of questions that won't be answered until further down the road. And some of these things is really for just an internal, like once I meditate after this reading, once I really sit in it and think about it, I'm sure I'm going to get the answers that I'm looking for. Because that's what I expect. Yeah. He wouldn't leave me out here ignorantly sinning against him. He wouldn't leave me out here without the wisdom, because he's trying to give it. He's trying to give it, He's trying to give it to you. And if any native Israelite or foreigner living among you goes hunting, cover it. That is why I said to the people of Israel, you must never eat or drink blood, for the life of any creature is in its blood. So whoever consumes blood will be cut off from the community. So the life of any creature is in the blood. That's why you lose too much blood, you die. The life of any creature is in the blood. The life of any creature. The life. You're like, what is life? Blood. What? The life of any creature. The life of any creature is in the blood. And if any native-born Israelite or foreigners eat the meat of the animal that died naturally or was torn up by wild animals, they must wash their clothes and bathe themselves in water. They will remain ceremonially unclean until evening, but then they will be clean. But if they do not wash their clothes and bathe themselves, they will be punished for their sin. In Leviticus 18, forbidden sexual practices. The Lord, forbidden sexual practices. Then the Lord said to Moses, give the following instructions to the people of Israel. I am the Lord your God. So do not act like the people in Egypt, where you used to live, or like the people in Canaan, where I am taking you. You must not imitate their way of life. You must obey all my regulations and be careful to obey my decrees, for I am the Lord your God. If you obey my decrees and my regulations, you will find life through them. I am the Lord. If you obey my regulations and decrees, you will find life through them. I am the Lord. I gave life, so if you listen to me, you stay alive. You must never have sexual relations with a close relative, for I am the Lord. How close are we talking here? Because I'm pretty sure... Okay, you know what? This is a prime example of how the Lord meets you where you are, right? He meets people where they are. There was a season where close relations was fine. It was almost expected, because how else are you going to be fruitful and multiply? And then there was the whole Abraham and his sister, and all of the other cousin relationships that's gotten Israel to this point. But now he's like, years have passed. 400 years have passed, at least, between Genesis and Exodus. And then all of the years that passed between Exodus and Leviticus. Years have passed. Centuries have passed. You don't need to be getting down with close relations. Okay, so don't have sexual relations with a close relative, for I am the Lord. Do not violate your father by having sexual relations with your mother. She is your mother. You must not have sexual relations with her. Sorry, it's the fact that it needs to be said. She is your mother. Do not have sexual relations with her. Do not have sexual relations with any of your father's wives, for this would violate your father. Remember when Reuben sleeps with Jacob's... sleeps with Jacob's wife. Do not have sexual relations with your sister or half-sister, whether she is your father's daughter or your mother's daughter, whether she was born into your household or someone else's. So this whole Abraham... forgetting the name of Abraham's wife. Rachel? Okay. Anyway, that whole thing, we're not doing that anymore. We've moved past this, basically. Do not have sexual relations with your granddaughter, whether she's your son's daughter or your daughter's daughter, for this would violate yourself. Do not have sexual relations with your stepsister, the daughter of any of your father's wives, for she is your sister. So the step don't even count. She's your sister. Do not have sexual relations with your father's sister, for she's your father's close relative. She's your aunt. But yeah, she's your father. Do not have any sexual relations with your mother's sister, for she is your mother's close relative. Do not violate your uncle, your father's brother, by having sexual relations with his wife, for she is your aunt. The sisters. Even through the in-law marriage don't count. That in-law separation does not exist. Okay? You have by law become close. Do not have sexual relations with your daughter-in-law. She is your son's wife, so you must not have sexual relations with her. Do not have sexual relations with your brother's wife, for this would violate your brother. Do not have sexual relations with both a woman and her daughter, and do not take her granddaughter, whether her son's daughter or her daughter's daughter, and have sexual relations with her. They are close relatives, and this would be a wicked act. While your wife is living, do not marry her sister and have sexual relations with her, for they would be rivals. While your wife is living, do not marry her sister and have sexual relations with her, for they would be rivals. Basically, you'd be sowing discords within a close relationship. Do not have sexual relations with a woman during her period or menstrual impurity. Do not defile yourself by having sexual intercourse with your neighbor's wife. Do not permit any of your children to be offered as a sacrifice to Molech, for you must not bring shame on the name of your God. I am the Lord. Who's Molech? It's giving me God vibes. It's giving me in the Hebrew Bible, Molech is presented as a foreign deity who was at times illegitimately given a place in Israel's worship as a result of the syncretistic policies of certain apostate kings. The laws given to Moses by God expressly forbade the Jews to do what was done in Egypt or in Canaan. An ancient Phoenician and Ammonite god to whom children were sacrificed by burning. Anything demanding terrible sacrifice. Ooh. Do not permit your children to be offered as a sacrifice to Molech, for you must not bring shame to the name of your God. I am the Lord. Molech was depicted as a human body with a bull's head. His statue was usually made of bronze with arms outreached and a belly that opened. To do what? and a belly that opened to serve as a furnace where the kids would be burnt. Okay. A particularly disturbing practice of Moloch worship was infant or child sacrifice. Families allowed children to pass through the fire or to be burned alive to Moloch to secure favor and prosperity. And then Leviticus 18:21. That's exactly where we are. It reads, "You shall not give any of your children to offer them to Moloch, and so profane the name of your God. I am the Lord." Moses was preparing the Israelites to enter the land of Canaan, and God issued stern warnings about engaging in their evil practices. All right. Okay. So the story of Genesis 22, this is when God tests Abraham to sacrifice Isaac. By God testing Abraham by commanding him to offer Isaac as a burnt sacrifice is thought to be related to Moloch worship. God distinguishes himself from all false gods, especially Moloch, by stopping Abraham from committing the sacrifice. Instead, God provides the sacrifice, a ram stuck in a thicket, foreshadowing the provision of his only son, Jesus, sacrifice for all of our sins. Throughout the Old Testament, God contrasts himself with idols in many ways. While idols had to be carried, our God carries us. While idols were deaf, blind, and mute, we worship a God who sees, hears, and speaks. While idols demand sacrifices, our God sacrificed his son for us. So where in the Bible does it mention Moloch? So we got Leviticus, where we are right now. No. Leviticus 20. We're in 20 already? Yeah, we're in 20 already, right? No, we're in 18. Okay. Alright, well, we'll get to 20 when we get to 20. But then it goes into Kings Jeremiah. Idolatry was common in the Old Testament, but it always came at a price. God repeatedly disciplined his people for their spiritual unfaithfulness. Regardless, God is faithful to his people. So it's like God is pulling them into this place, but he's preparing them for what they're going to find in this place. He's preparing them to know that this is what you'll see. This is what you'll interact with. This is what will unfold around you. Regardless, this is how you'll have to separate yourself from that. Okay, so that was Leviticus. Oops. Where are we? (18, 16, 17). We were in 20 somewhere, right? 21. Okay. Now we're in Leviticus 18:22. Do not practice homosexuality. Having sex with another man as a woman, it is a detestable sin. A man must not defile himself by having sex with an animal, and a woman must not offer herself to be a male animal, to have intercourse with it. This is a perverse act. Do not defile yourselves in any of these ways, for the people I am driving out before you have defiled themselves in all these ways. Because the entire land has become defiled, I am punishing the people who live there. I will cause the land to vomit them out. Good description. I will cause the land to vomit them out. You must obey all my decrees and regulations. You must not commit any of these detestable sins. This applies both to native-born Israelites and to foreigners living among you. All these detestable activities are practiced by the people of the land the land where I am taking you, and this is how the land has become defiled. So do not defile the land and give it reason to vomit you out, as it will vomit out the people who live there now. Whoever commits any of these detestable sins will be cut off from the community of Israel. So obey my instructions and do not defile yourself by committing any of these detestable practices that were committed by the people who live in the land before you. I am the Lord your God. Look how that's repeated. Like, I'm giving you this instruction, but then it's like, but know where this instruction is coming from. Know who I am and why I would be giving you this instruction. It's like, okay. Like, getting an instruction from some random passerby, like, you're not gonna, there's no way you're taking that serious. And if you do, you're a little crazy. Unless you saw visual proof, right? Unless you saw some kind of visual confirmation that what they just said was backed up, and maybe you should listen to them. But you wouldn't just take them on their word. However, with God, if He's like, I'm giving you these instructions, I am the Lord your God, do not act the same way these people are acting, because that's how they messed up their lives and their land and all of that. Don't do it. Don't behave how they will, how they have this whole time. Because I'm causing the land to spit them out. Vomit them out. Visceral reaction, like they are sickness to this land, causing the land to vomit them out. That's such a good description. But yeah, let's see how those set of rules were given for the situation that we're about to face and the situation that they just came out of. The situation you're about to face. And I need you to be separated from these people, elevated from these people, because you are my people. You are my holy people. You know? And I need you to shine as an example of what it is like to live set apart for the Lord. I'm just going there doing what they're doing. And you just blend it in. You blend it in and you're becoming like them. They're not becoming like you, you're becoming like them. But your job is to make them become like you. Or like, not your job, but like, it's great to be an example. Like, you're like an example. You don't really know what you can do until you see an example of it sometimes. And the first person who sets that example has this strong vision ingrained in them. And the courage to go after that strong vision is ingrained in them. We are in Psalms 35 now, and it's a Psalm of David. Surprise. O Lord, oppose those who oppose me. Fight those who fight against me. Put on your armor and take up your shield. Prepare for battle and come to my aid. Lift up your spear and javelin against those who pursue me. Let me hear you say, I will give you victory. Bring shame and disgrace to those trying to kill me. Turn them back and humiliate those who want to harm me. Burn them away like chaff in the wind. Or blow them away like chaff in the wind. A wind sent by the angel of the Lord. Make their path dark and slippery, with the angel of the Lord pursuing them. I did them no wrong, but they laid a trap for me. I did them no wrong, but they dug a pit to catch me. So let sudden ruin come upon them. Let them be caught in the trap they set for me. Let them be destroyed in the pit they dug for me. Then I will rejoice in the Lord. I will be glad because he rescues me. With every bone in my body, I will praise him. Lord, who can compare with you? Who else rescues the helpless from the strong? Who else protects the helpless and the poor from those who rob them? Malicious witnesses testify against me. They accuse me of crimes I know nothing about. They repay me evil for good. I am sick with despair, yet when they were ill, I grieved for them. I denied myself by fasting for them, but my prayers returned unanswered. I was sad, as though they were my friends or family, as if I were grieving for my own mother. But they are glad now that I am in trouble. They are gleefully joined together against me. I am attacked by people I don't even know. They slander me constantly. They mock me and call me names. They snarl at me. How long, O Lord, will you look and do nothing? Rescue me from their fierce attacks. Protect me from these lions. Then I will thank you in front of the great assembly. I will praise you before all the people. Don't let my treacherous enemies rejoice over my defeat. Don't let those who hate me without cause gloat over my sorrow. They don't talk of peace. They plot against innocent people who mind their own business. They shout, aha, aha, with our own eyes we saw him do it. O Lord, you know all about this. Do not stay silent. Do not abandon me now, O Lord. Wake up, rise to my defense. Take up my case, my God and my Lord. Declare me not guilty, O Lord my God, for you give justice. Don't let my enemies laugh about me in my troubles. Don't let them say, look, we got what we wanted. Now we will eat him alive. May those who rejoice at my troubles be humiliated and disgraced. May those who triumph over me be covered with shame and dishonor. But give great joy to those who came to my defense. Let them continually say, great is the Lord, who delights in blessing his servant with peace. Then I will proclaim your justice and I will praise you all day long. Like I said, David is going through it. Like I don't know what he's going through, but whew. Also, like the plea to get God to fight on your behalf, the plea to get God to like take up your cause. You have to know who God is. Like, you have to know that he is the God who answers his faithful, that answers the one who like rests in him. You didn't go, oh God, you haven't done anything yet. You're not there. You're not real. You're not whatever. He didn't do any of that. He just said, I know you are this kind of God. I know you aren't the God who's going to let your people, the people who who hide and confide in you, you're not going to let them just be given to their enemies. And you see the situation. You know exactly what's going on. You know. Take up my case. Some strong shit right there. That's nice. I want that. I want that for when everything's going wrong. Lift up your spear and javelin against those who pursue me. Let me hear you say, I will give you victory. He's like, Lord, come out here and fight. Like, when's the last time? Well, have you ever prayed a prayer to Lord, like, come out here and fight on my behalf? So tickled by this. I don't know why. Because there's like, did you know that's something you could pray for? Did you know that you can be like, yo, Lord, I'm praying for you to send your armies out on my behalf? He's like, go ahead, send your angel out before me. Pursue them, make their path dark and slippery, with the angel of the Lord pursuing them, hunting them down, and they like running and they can't see nothing and they slipping over everything. That's what they deserve for being my enemy, the enemy of your child. This is so good. Like, I just wish there was a beat. Like, these are bops. Come on. Ooh, there might actually be. Well, there might actually be a bop. Psalm 35. Psalm 35. Psalm 35. Then my soul shall rejoice. There's music.
I, Julian Gordon, with this mortgage, relinquish part of my freedom to sight. Did you know that the word mortgage literally means death pledge? Plead my cause, Lord, from those opposing me. Fight against those who fight against me. Pick up your shield and armor. Stand up and help me. Draw out your spear. Stop those pursuing me and say to my soul, I am your salvation.
I'm gonna have to search later because sometimes they just don't be giving me what, But anyway, that's the psalm of the day. You clearly can see that that's just an outcry for the Lord to come to their defense at a time of great persecution. So, thank you for joining me. It's been one of those days, like, it's been a long day, and I am on minimum rest. But we got through it. It's definitely into the next day, so I'll see y'all in a couple hours. But I did start this yesterday, so, like, the challenge goes on. I think I've finally gotten to the point where I know my schedule, and I know when I can do this. I'm reaching the point where I got the rhythm of just doing it down. Good. We've done it. 35 days. We made it. Done. Habit formed. Okay? With some extra wiggle room just to make sure I didn't slip at any point. That part's done. Now we got to get to the point where I'm not just making random noise. Because right now I feel like I've just been making random noise without a consistent beat, you know. So we're gonna schedule this so that there's a consistent day, a consistent time. You know when to be on the lookout for me. I know I've been random. I've been very all over the place. To those who rewatch, thank you. For those who spend time, I hope you find something here. Truly, I know I'm finding something. I know what I'm looking for, though. So I hope you're able to find something here. And until next time, have a good evening. Sleep. Have a good sleep. Have a good day. Whatever that day looks like for you. Bye.